Hey everyone, good afternoon. This is Joe from the Northeastern Native Plant Digest, and today I want to talk about one of my very favorite plants in the garden, and that's the little bluestem, Schizocheirum scoparium. I've kind of touched on this grass from time to time in some of my videos. I've talked about it and how beautiful it is, but I really kind of thought it deserved its own video, so we could talk about it a little bit more. So this is a native bunching grass that is actually was one of the dominant prairie grasses in the United States. Its range extended from all the way from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast. I think there may have been a couple states like Nevada that maybe this wasn't indigenous to, but this all the way up into Canada too. So this plant actually has a very extensive range, and like I said, it was one of the dominant prairie grasses, along with big bluestem, Indian grass, and switchgrass. There were other grasses like prairie dropsy, but these were the dominant grasses. And I just want to talk about this as far as in the garden setting. This plant is such a beautiful plant. It really has a lot to offer for any kind of garden. This is a plant that, as you can see, has wonderful. I mean, look at the color on it. It almost looks like a steel blue. I mean, this is just a gorgeous plant. It looks wonderful. I mean, I have of course, a non-native hosta here. Don't tell anybody, but it looks good with that. It looks good with asters. It looks good with just about anything you put it in. Put it with. This is a plant that can take tough spots. It actually prefers a little bit drier site, full sun. You need 6 hours of sun or more is good for this. They get a very extensive root system that can go down almost 10 feet. So if you've got hard compacted clay, this is another great plant for those kind of situations. It can tolerate a little bit of wetness. It can take some periodic flooding. What interesting fact about it in the past is that the Plains Indians used to burn the prairies from time to time. So these things respond well to actually to burning. But what you can do in the springtime is just cut them back. And these will get these beautiful flower heads and seed heads on them that the birds like. And as you can see, this is a pretty good clump. They get to be maybe 3 feet high and wide. I have a couple more over here. Get a little bit more shade. They're growing next to some Joe Pye weed. These clumps they're probably about 3 years old. These are in a drier site. It's a little bit higher in my yard. Gets full sun all day. They look fantastic. I have a couple more down here, and this is next to my pond, which is a wetter area. And I have a couple in here, and they're doing okay. They're not as big around as the ones up there, but they're still doing great. I actually planted these a couple years ago. So I was worried about them at first because there's so much moisture here in the springtime, but these things are doing fantastic. And I got a couple more over here. In fact, I just planted one. I just planted this one. It's already getting these wonderful flower seed heads on it. It looks great there. So this, in addition to its beauty, in addition to its versatility, another great thing about this plant is that it's great for wildlife. A lot of times we don't typically think of butterflies, or we don't associate butterflies with grasses. We usually associate them with plants like milkweed or things like that, oak trees. But there are, at least in my area, about 7 different species of skipper butterflies that actually rely on these plants for host plants. So when you plant these in your garden, you're not only planting a native plant, you're planting a beautiful plant. You're planting a plant that actually supports pollinators, supports birds. The birds like the seed heads. Another cool thing about our native grasses, which really differentiates them from European grasses like our turf grasses and all these terrible grasses that we put in our lawns, is that these grasses bunch. If you can see here, most of our native grasses some of them kind of arch over, and they create these little channels underneath there. And this was really important to birds like bobwhites and quails. The chicks and stuff like that would really use these and use them as tunnels and stuff like that to escape from predation. And that's a function that even if you let your native grasses get tall and you don't want to cut them, and they still don't serve that same function like a native grass does. And so there's another reason. You know, unfortunately, I don't. There's no quail in my area that I know of, but Ohio used to have quail. I think there's still a few remnants here and there. But anyway, you know, I just wanted to do a quick video about this plant. I love this plant. There's so many non-native plants that people use in their environment, and some of them are just terrible for the environment. I mean, you know, I can think of bloodgrass as one example. It just really takes over, and it's just a terrible, you know, non-native species. It's a wonderful plant in its native habitat. You know, I want to say that about all plants. You know, there's no such thing as bad plants. Sometimes there's good plants in bad spots and bad locations. And, you know, that's the case with a lot of these non-native grasses, Miscanthus sinensis and stuff like, you know, these ornamental grasses we see that are so prevalent in our yards. But really, we can get the same effect with native grasses, and little bluestem is one of them. So I would encourage you to go to your local garden center. I'm seeing these more and more in local gardens. You can buy them there. I bought that one that I just showed you at a garden center just 2 miles from my house, and it was really encouraging. And when I go there, I make a point of telling them, you know, hey, do you have this plant? Well, it's native. I only buy native. You know, money talks. You know, you tell nurseries you only buy native plants. The more people we do that, the more native plants they're going to carry. So there you go, little bluestem. You know, look for it, find it, plant it. You'll be happy you did. I hope you have a great day. Thanks a lot. This is Joe from the Northeastern Native Plant Digest, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.